Your legs are among the first muscle groups to decline with age, and if you don't engage them, you risk losing their strength. Greetings, health champions. Today we're diving into the vital importance of leg strength and how it can help counteract the effects of aging. I'll be showcasing and discussing 10 effective exercises to achieve this goal. Most people don't realize how dangerous weak legs are, and as we age, what happens to most people is that the legs weaken and we have a loss of balance, coordination, and reaction time. And with all three of those factors, what happens is we increase the risk of falls, and falls are the #1 cause of traumatic death in the elderly. And the elderly also often suffer from osteoporosis, and that combined with the fall can lead to a hip fracture. And this can be so devastating that depending on complications and age, up to 50% of people will not survive the next year. And if they survive, up to 60% will require long-term care, but we can prevent that with the right lifestyle and with the right exercises. And we have to understand that it's about strength, a balance, and coordination. So the exercises need to work toward that. And the right exercises will not only enlarge your leg muscles, but they will also strengthen bone, and they will support your neuromuscular connection. Because we have to understand, it's not just about the muscle, it is about how well it works. So it's the muscle plus the signal from the brain and the timing of those signals down to the millisecond that gives us that coordination and reaction time. And the lifestyle we're talking about obviously consists of exercise. And exercise, what most people don't understand, is that it actually breaks the muscles down. It destroys some of the muscle fibers, but then when we rest, the body can repair them. However, that can only happen if we have the proper food that will optimize the repair process, if we can support the body to have all the raw materials that it needs. So I did a video on the food, and I started with that. Not because it's the most important out of the two, but because it's the most misunderstood. So I'm going to show you 10 different exercises that will do all the things that we talked about, and you can do all 10 of them in one session, or you can pick out 2 or 3 or 4. If you're not quite ready for all of them, I'll also present them in a way that you can start with the easier versions. And then, as you get stronger, or if you're already fairly athletic, you can go for some of the more advanced stuff. Before we dive in, I'm curious to hear where you're tuning in from today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below, and don't hesitate to ask any questions you might have. Be sure to click that subscribe button and enable notifications, ensuring you stay updated with the finest health tips from Senior Health Tips. If you're tuning in at this moment, I want to feel your presence alongside me. Drop a 1 in the comments if this video resonates with you. Enter 0 if that's the case. Let's dive into calf raises. This exercise targets 2 key muscles, the gastrocnemius and the soleus. When you perform calf raises while standing, you engage both muscles simultaneously, so there's no need to choose between them. We'll explore a few variations, starting with the basics on flat ground. Simply stand with your feet together and lift your heels off the floor to activate your calves. For an added challenge, try doing this without holding on to anything to improve your balance. However, if you prefer, you can use a wall for support. Once you feel comfortable, you can progress to single-leg calf raises. Most will likely need to hold onto the wall for stability, but if you can do it without support, that's even better. For a more advanced approach, try performing the exercise on a box or a stair step. This variation allows you to drop your heels below the level of your toes, effectively stretching the muscle and engaging through a longer range of motion. As a result, you're not only activating the muscle more, but also sending additional signals to the brain. You can begin with both feet on the box and gradually progress to using one foot at a time. One alternative approach is to incorporate weights into your routine. You can either hold dumbbells or place a bar across your shoulders. This method presents a greater challenge than performing the exercise without weights and using both feet. Yet it remains less demanding than executing it with your body weight on one foot at a time. This serves as an intermediate step, and by adjusting the weights, you can easily modify the difficulty level. Let me introduce you to my second favorite exercise, squats. This powerhouse move targets a multitude of areas, making it a must-try in your routine. This exercise targets a variety of muscles, engaging your quadriceps at the front of your legs, while also activating the gluteus maximus and hamstrings. Additionally, it enhances core strength and promotes flexibility. Let's kick things off with a straightforward version of squats. Standing up from a chair. This is something many people notice as they age and experience a decline in strength. It becomes increasingly challenging to rise from a chair or sofa. We'll begin with just your body weight for this exercise. To stand up from your office chair or any chair with armrests, grasp the armrests firmly. As you rise, focus on keeping your back straight. Lean forward slightly while arching your back and lifting your chest. This approach ensures you maintain proper form throughout the movement. A slightly more challenging variation involves placing your hands on your knees. While the support may not reach the level of the armrests, you can still expect a degree of comfort. The next step is to perform the exercise without using your arms for support, relying solely on your legs. It's perfectly fine to lean forward, but aim to keep your chest lifted to avoid rounding your back and straining your lower back. Remember, there's no shame in beginning with the most basic exercises and gradually progressing from there. It's essential to take action no matter where you are. Begin your journey today. If you're looking to challenge yourself further, try stepping away from the chair and perform the exercise freestanding on the floor. Remember to position your feet shoulder width apart or slightly wider for optimal stability. Maintaining a slightly wider stance can be beneficial, especially if flexibility is a concern. Aim for shoulder width or just a bit wider. It's crucial to ensure that your feet align with your knees as you begin to squat. Be mindful of the natural tendency for your knees to drift outward. Your toes should follow that same direction to minimize knee strain. A video demonstration will clarify this shortly. I'd like to highlight this point so you're aware of it. Additionally, aim to create the sensation that 2/3 of your body weight is resting on your heels. Lack of flexibility often leads individuals to shift their weight onto the front half of their foot, resulting in excessive strain on the knees. Let's dive into that. Rise to your feet, positioning your hips directly over your feet, slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Maintain your toes pointed outward in line with the direction your knees will bend. One effective method I prefer is to cross my arms in front of my chest. I believe it's an ideal spot to position them, and leaning forward feels just right. Stick your butt out confidently, ensuring your back remains straight and your chest stays lifted. If flexibility is a concern, try spreading your feet a bit wider. Remember to align your toes with the direction your knees will bend for optimal form. As you can see, I'm tackling these barefoot, and it's definitely a bit more challenging for my flexibility. Wearing shoes with a slight wedge makes it easier, as the heel sits higher than the front of the foot. It's perfectly fine to use a small wedge, such as a plank or a weight of about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, under your heels for added support if flexibility is an issue. Just remember to maintain 2/3 of your weight on your heels to avoid putting any strain on your knees. To elevate the challenge, simply incorporate some weights. You can place a weight bar on your shoulders or opt for dumbbells. If you choose the dumbbell route, I recommend holding it in front of you. This is known as a goblet squat. This product is highly effective as it supports your posture when held correctly, encouraging you to keep your chest elevated. It effectively engages your core muscles beautifully. Let's take a closer look at what that entails. In this scenario, I'm utilizing a 30-pound dumbbell held in front of me, while everything else remains unchanged. By gripping it like a goblet, you effectively keep your chest elevated and ensure proper posture throughout the movement. As always, ensure that your weight is distributed on your heels and align your knees and toes in the same direction. When performing these exercises, be sure to respect your flexibility limits and avoid pushing beyond what feels comfortable. If you're unable to keep your back straight, it's a sign you're going too deep. Take your time, focus on enhancing your flexibility, and let progress unfold gradually. Introducing the third exercise, wall sits. This move focuses specifically on the quadriceps muscle, offering a targeted workout experience. Since it's a stationary muscle and you're pressing against the wall, you're not engaging a wide range of muscles. While it may not top my list of favorites due to its static nature, it certainly offers a sense of safety, especially for those who may lack balance or are simply looking for a secure starting point. This is how it appears. Simply position yourself with your back against the wall. Extend your feet a good distance from the wall, aiming to maintain a vertical line from your knee to your foot. If you settle in a bit deeper, you'll need to adjust your feet outward slightly. Begin with a gentle bend, making this exercise incredibly accessible. With the wall providing full support, you can ease into it effortlessly. Begin your journey by holding for just 10, 15, or 20 seconds. As you gain confidence, challenge yourself to extend that time to 1 or even 2 minutes. As you build strength, gradually position your feet further from the wall, allowing you to sink deeper into a seated position, achieving a 90-degree bend in your knees. Once more, ensure that from the knee to the foot, you maintain a vertical alignment. Exercise 4 focuses on toe walks and heel walks. When you perform the toe walk, you're engaging the same muscles that you activate during calf raises, the gastrocnemius and the soleus. Walking on your heels engages the opposing muscles, known as the tibialis anterior. By incorporating walking, you introduce a vital element of balance. Once more, you're honing your skills in neuromuscular communication. You're engaging your mind and enhancing your balance while also activating your muscles. Here's an interesting tidbit. Toe walking and heel walking serve as orthopedic tests too, for individuals experiencing intense back pain, particularly those with a potential disc bulge or nerve involvement. Doctors, particularly orthopedists or chiropractors, frequently perform heel and toe walks to determine whether the disc compromise is primarily at the L5 level or at S1. It's precisely what it appears to be. You rise up on your toes and begin to walk. Maintain that as long as it feels right for you. After that, you can perform multiple repetitions, and you'll truly experience the impact of that exercise. Now, let's move on to the heel walk, where you'll clearly engage the front, specifically targeting the tibialis anterior. Many individuals suffering from shin splints will find significant relief by incorporating that exercise into their routine. Introducing number 5, glute bridges. Lie on your back and lift your hips. This move targets your gluteus maximus and hamstrings while also engaging your core muscles effectively. Let me present you with several distinct approaches to accomplish this. Start by keeping both feet firmly on the ground, allowing you to practice in a stationary or static position. Just elevate your hips and maintain that position. Alternatively, you can approach it dynamically, allowing for continuous movement up and down. As you proceed, I recommend taking your time and maintaining a steady, controlled approach. By doing so, you're significantly enhancing your fine coordination. There's absolutely no need to rush. Next, you can attempt it with one leg, placing one foot firmly on the ground. You maintain the other one extended. Start by performing 10 repetitions on one leg before switching to the other. You've got this. And then the next one. Alternatively, you can switch it up by alternating legs, using one repetition for each before making the switch. It's important to remember that for certain exercises, opting for the floor or using the wall for support can enhance safety. However, you're facing fewer challenges. Your brain isn't getting the stimulation it needs because you're relying on support. There's no need for you to keep the balance in check. It's simpler than performing it freestanding, where balance must be maintained. Remember, when you're on the ground, you're not utilizing gravity to the same extent. The benefits for osteoporosis regarding weight-bearing activities are limited. Every one of these exercises serves a purpose. Remember, with each of these exercises, increased complexity means more variables for your brain to manage, such as balance and gravity. This heightened engagement activates your brain more fully and engages various pathways. If you can manage it, that's definitely a positive outcome. If you're unable to proceed, begin with safe exercises that involve leaning against a stable surface or performing movements on the ground. When you're on the ground, the advantages of gravity and weight-bearing activities for bone strengthening diminish. Every one of these exercises serves a purpose. Focus on completing as many tasks as possible, prioritizing those that you can begin safely. Lateral lunges take the 6th spot on our list. This exercise stands out to me because it engages multiple muscle groups that are often overlooked while also enhancing hip flexibility. Get ready to engage your quadriceps, gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, and adductors. The adductors are responsible for pulling in toward the midline, facilitating adduction. The area in question would be the inner thigh. Let me present you with several distinct options. A straightforward tip is to avoid standing with your legs too far apart. It's slightly wider than a squat. With your hands resting on your hips, you casually shift from side to side as you take a seat. Once more, ensure that your knee and foot are aligned, both pointing in the same direction. To increase the challenge, simply widen your stance and begin to go deeper. Position your hands on your hips, or begin by placing one hand on your knee for added support. Now, it's time to delve deeper and expand your reach. Another approach is to cross your arms over your chest and then delve even deeper by bringing your elbow to your knee. This serves as an excellent method to measure your progress, providing a clear endpoint for your movement. The final one will be slightly more challenging. It resembles the version where you place your elbow to your knee, but this time, you're not leaning forward as much. Without bringing the elbow to the knee, there's no clear endpoint established. It requires a bit more effort. It adds an extra layer of challenge to your core muscles when the endpoint is uncertain, encouraging you to maintain a more upright posture. Lateral leg raises take the 7th spot on our list. Now, position yourself on your side and lift your leg straight up to the side. With this approach, you achieve nearly total isolation of the gluteus medius, the muscle located on the side of your hip. Additionally, there's a slight engagement of the TFL, or tensor fascia lata, which is positioned more towards the front of the hip. Take a look at how that appears. It's really straightforward. The key is to maintain your hips at a 90-degree angle to the floor. I'll also demonstrate the approach you definitely want to avoid. As you engage in this exercise and begin to feel fatigue, you may notice a natural inclination to rotate your hips backward, allowing other muscles to take over the work. Additionally, it seems that there's a restricted range of motion. When you rotate your hips back, you can elevate the leg higher, but that's not the objective we're aiming for here. A great way to target the glute medius is by standing on a box or a stair step. As you grip tightly, one leg dangles precariously over the edge. With a swift motion, you let it drop below the stair step. Then you raise it as high as possible. Simply sway your hips from side to side. Avoid forcing the movement, as it may not feel like you're making much progress. Focus on maintaining a smooth, pure motion strictly in that lateral direction, keeping your hips aligned without veering off into any other angles. Next up, we have planks at number 8. This is one of my favorite static exercises because, despite its immobility, it effectively engages multiple muscle groups. This will engage your abdominals, including your straight and oblique muscles, as well as your transverse muscles. This will effectively target your glute maximus. This exercise targets your quadriceps while engaging nearly every muscle in your core. As a beginner, it's perfectly fine to begin with your knees on the ground. Position your elbows firmly on the ground, lift your hips high, and maintain that posture for as long as possible. Begin with just 20 seconds, and as your strength increases, aim to extend that time to a minute or even 2 when you're feeling particularly strong. You can also incorporate multiple sets of this exercise into your routine. If you're feeling a bit stronger, you can elevate the challenge by using your elbows and toes on the ground. By raising your knees, you create a longer lever, increasing the challenge in the process. It's important to address the issue with planks. As individuals attempt to hold the position for extended periods, there's a risk of compromising form. Remember, it's not about duration. Maintaining proper technique should always take precedence over simply holding longer. If you find yourself getting fatigued and notice an arch forming in your back, it's important to recognize that this can be detrimental, particularly if you already have back issues. To achieve the desired effect, focus on rotating your hips forward and tucking them under. Let me demonstrate this clearly for you, and we'll go back and forth a bit for better understanding. If you notice your hips sinking toward the ground and your back arching more than usual, that's a sign to pay attention. Keep your hips tucked under to ensure your back remains as flat as possible. If this limits your range, that's perfectly fine. Focus on building your strength and progress from there. Step 9 is step-ups, and it's one of my favorites. The beauty of this exercise lies in its versatility. You can easily adjust the intensity to suit your needs. Plus, it challenges your balance and coordination. Whether you choose a staircase or boxes, there are plenty of options to explore, and I'm excited to share some of those with you. The easiest approach is to utilize a staircase. Begin your ascent by taking one step at a time. You can choose to hold on to something for support, or go without it if you feel confident in your balance. For those looking to elevate their skills, you can tackle 2 steps at once or even take on 3 steps simultaneously. Take a look at how that could potentially appear. The easiest approach is simply to walk up the stairs. If you feel the need for extra security, I always suggest starting with the safest option and holding on to something for support. If you feel comfortable, you can walk upstairs without holding on. The great part is that it's simple to repeat. just head back down and start again. For those seeking a true challenge, consider tackling 3 steps at a time. This approach may require longer legs, like mine, or perhaps steps that aren't quite so high. However, it's important not to push yourself too hard. For most, taking 2 steps at a time will suffice. If you have access to a box, or even better, multiple boxes, their height can range from 4 inches to 20 inches, which is equivalent to 10 to 50 centimeters. Discover how to craft engaging workouts, and I'll guide you in elevating the challenge by enhancing your arm and leg coordination. The most straightforward approach is to step up onto the box, using one leg repeatedly or alternating between legs. Here, I'm demonstrating the simplest version, where you place the other foot down on the box. To elevate the challenge and enhance your balance, begin by stepping up while lifting the opposite knee into full flexion toward your chest, mimicking the motion of a sprint stride. It's essential to coordinate this movement with your opposite arm. If you have a larger box available, it will add an extra layer of difficulty to your workout. To start, simply step up onto the platform. For those looking to elevate their workout, try lifting the opposite knee as if you're in a sprint stride. This move enhances your balance while allowing for a fuller extension of the bottom leg. In my case, I used a box wide enough to turn on its side. Just ensure that the weight is distributed properly to prevent any tipping over with such a setup. Lunges take the spotlight at number 10, and they truly pack a punch. In my training leading up to the Olympics, I found myself incorporating more lunges than squats, making them a cornerstone of my heavy workouts. However, a common mistake is stepping forward and then stepping back, which I strongly advise against. Consider taking a step back first, then moving forward. If you have the space and balance, walk forward while alternating your legs. Let's take a moment to break this down. Start by stepping back and then forward to return to your starting position. Your goal is to maintain about 2/3 of your weight on the heel of your front leg. As you rise back up, focus on moving up and forward. This creates a natural motion that reduces stress on your knees while engaging your glutes, which is exactly what you want. Additionally, notice how I'm holding my arms out in front of me. This simulates the action of moving through a doorway. I didn't have a good place to film the doorway, so if you imagine standing in a doorway or slightly behind the doorway and you hold onto the door frame, then you can step back and have some support while you're working on it. And then as you get more advanced, you can practice on doing it unsupported. And the benefit again of doing it unsupported is that there's more complexity. You work on your balance and your coordination, and your brain gets more benefit by having more complexity to deal with. And if you have room, you can also step forward, but then don't step back, but step forward and keep going. And again, when you do this, try to think of your hand-arm coordination so that your arm is always opposite the leg. And if you want even more of a challenge, you could even put the front foot on something elevated, or you can add weights. So here I'm going to show you with dumbbells. I'm holding 2 30-pound dumbbells for a total of 60. And just as a little footnote, when I did my heavy work before the Olympics, I would actually do sets of 6 with 220 pounds on my shoulders. And I would even do single reps with as much as 300 pounds on my shoulder with a lunge. Now I don't recommend that, obviously, for anyone who is not at that level. And I also don't recommend pushing the weights too soon, because if it gets too heavy, you're going to strain and you're going to lose form. So start with body weight and only add weight as you feel safe and that you can properly maintain form doing it. So I did a lot of lunges, and at one training camp, I actually had a 250-pound shot putter jump up on my back, and I did some lunges with him. Now I wish I had a video of that because it was hilarious, but even though cameras existed, no one had a cell phone back then that you could just pull out of your pocket and make a video. So start doing these exercises to strengthen your legs, and you don't have to do all of them. Do a few at a time. Do them at the level that you're capable of doing them safely and in good form, and then build on that. If you enjoyed this video, you're gonna love that one. And if you truly want to master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on all the notifications so you never miss a life-saving video.